spring of 2011. His responsibilities include oversight of the college's 22 intercollegiate athletic teams, as well as York's recreation program. Prior to filling that role, he spent 24 years as a Spartans head coach. During his tenure, his teams claimed 5 Capital Athletic Conference regular season titles, 3 conference championships, and made 10 trips to the NCAA Division III tournament. Paul was born in Chicago. He graduated from Southern Illinois University in 1985, where he earned a Bachelor of Arts degree while pitching for the Salukis. His diverse experiences include competing with and against several eventual Major League Baseball players. Paul actually helped me make an important decision in my life in June of 1984, when, after being struck out by him 4 times in one game, I decided to approach John Schmidt and tell him I was going to concentrate more on banking. Not surprisingly, Paul is a member of the Central York County Baseball League Hall of Fame. Paul serves on numerous NCAA committees and the Capital Athletic Conference's board of directors. He is creative in the field of graphic design, as well as becoming a self-taught authority on baseball field ground maintenance. Paul is an avid golfer. He and his wife Candy live in York. Paul will be speaking to us today on the evolution of York College athletics. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Paul.
Well, thank you all for allowing me to be here. I view this as a real opportunity. York College is going through a period of transition, and I think one of the things that is really important to us is the opportunity to keep strengthening our relationship with the community. So it's awesome for me to be here with so many prominent members of the York College community. I don't know if any of you had the opportunity to meet our new president, but I guess the best way I can say it is she's really awesome and just a cool person. We had a student affairs meeting yesterday, and one of the things that we talked about was how our transition is going with our new leadership, our new president, and people told stories about things that had happened so far. Betsy Winter, our head women's basketball coach and my associate athletic director, mentioned last week they were down in Atlanta playing at Old Fort University, and Dr. GS and her husband actually have a home in Atlanta. So they were there for the holidays and showed up for both of their games, stayed the whole time, wore green, the whole thing. And after the game, I guess it wasn't a huge venue, people had got word that York's president was there, and she was the one screaming like crazy over on the side. One of the parents from the other school came up and started explaining that in 3 years they had never seen their president at a game. It became very emotional, actually started crying. And Dr. Jess, I guess, didn't really know what to say because for her it was just what you do. Another story, and some of my colleagues might get in trouble for telling this one. One of our people who works for Residence Life was in the dormitory that she runs. This was shortly after the president had taken over during the summer, and saw her walking through the parking lot. It just seemed kind of odd the direction she was heading. So she came out and said, you know, Dr. Jess introduced herself to her and said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Well, I was walking back to my house and I got lost, and I ended up walking through the creek." So, any of you who have been to York College know what that's like, but it was interesting for her just to take her shoes off and walk on through, but that's kind of the kind of person she is. I know she feels very strongly about strengthening our relationship within the community too, so hopefully, you know, I'll have an opportunity to kind of help with that and familiarize you a little bit more with York College and also with our athletic program. So we have made several changes along the way. beginning in 1787 as York County Academy. York Collegiate Institute became our name in 1929. I know we have at least one member here who was there then. 1941, we became York Junior College, and in 1968, we became York College, Pennsylvania. And I'm curious as to how many people who have some affiliation with the college are here right now. Can you raise your hand? I feel like now I'm speaking to the choir rather than to others, but one of the reasons why I'm here is because a couple of people who are affiliated with the school who are awesome alums, and very devoted and honored former York College athletes, and I've been working together on a project, and Jimmy May being one of them thought this might be a nice idea for me to come up and speak with you, and I'll talk a little bit more about that initiative later. I figure they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, so I have several to show you that will explain a little bit about the transition. And I'm hoping everybody will be able to see it now. I'll kind of talk you through it. This is the campus map of York College as it is today. And it can be, like I said, I know it's a little difficult to see. I split it in half. This is what we refer to as main campus. It's pretty much the area from Brantley Avenue east. You can see the creek running through there. This is what we refer to as West Campus, which is everything from Brantley left. Now, I began working at York College in 1987, and so I went through and tagged everything on that map that wasn't there when I started working at York College. And just to give you some sort of idea as to what has happened to York College just in the period of time that I've been there. So it has been an unbelievable transformation. And that transformation has not just been a physical one. We now have 61 majors, including a very diverse offering, everything from fine art to forensic chemistry, sport management, mechanical engineering, nursing, entrepreneurship. It has been quite a growth for us. And as part of that growth, we have done a lot of building as of recently. This is our William Business Center, which began occupation this year. The very top of this building has one of the coolest views you'll ever see in York. If you've had a chance to be up there, it's an awesome room, but it has a 360-degree view of the city. It's something we're very proud of. This is the Walmer Performing Arts Center, which is a beautiful auditorium. This actually used to be our gymnasium, and it has made quite a transformation as well. And of course, my favorite building, the Grumbacher Sport and Fitness Center. And as part of our transformation as well, it's been the direction of what we are trying to promote as a college and how we are preparing our students with a strong drive toward professionalism. We offer a lot of experiential learning with co-ops, clinicals, internships, and as part of that, one of the things that we have maintained and had to work very hard at was to keep ourselves in this niche of being very affordable as a private institution. Moving on now a little bit more into the athletic side of things. Part of what I oversee is recreation, as was mentioned earlier. And that program has just exploded. I know Patty Stark is one of the people who also came here with today as part of the project I mentioned earlier that we're working on. You can probably attest to back when things weren't all that organized, but now we have 23 intramural sports. We had last year 2,700 students involved in intramurals. We have incentive-based programs for fitness. We have employee fitness programs, club sports as well, late night programming for our students, things that we never had before. Part of what happened when we built the Grumbacher Sport and Fitness Center is that we also decided it was time to start to take everything else to another level. So this certainly was part of it. York College is a member of the NCAA Division III. And there's a lot of misunderstanding about Division III athletics. It is, of all the NCAA divisions, the largest. And in that regard, what people don't understand is that in some ways it's the most competitive. In order to be a national champion in basketball in Division III, you have to be the best out of 442, as opposed to the Division I, which is 351. Part of the other misnomers, it doesn't have anything to do with the size of your school. Rice University has 2,800 students. Montclair State University, which is a pretty prolific Division III school, has 19,000 students. And it doesn't matter how many sports you have. USC, the Trojans, have 20 sports. The Spartans of York College have 22. So it all has to do with how you decide you want to address the finances of your athletic department, and primarily the funding of your student athletes. So at the Division III level, we offer those scholarships, athletic scholarships, and therefore the competition for athletes grows even stronger. You have to somehow get them with something else. And that for us most often are our coaches, one of the most important aspects of all of this. We are members of the Capital Athletic Conference. The CAC is comprised of these schools as well as us. And it's something we're very proud of. One of the things that has happened with your college athletics is that the geography of our conference has changed. In 1991, as a founding member of the CAC, we were the outlying school there in green, which made it down just below DC. We have now spread out to the point where we are making 5-hour trips, and this has had a real impact on our program financially. John Bailey's here today, I saw him, and we are a client of theirs that they bus us to all of our events, and it has become a real, I think, critical part of our program at this point in terms of our budget, in order to be able to do what we do, as opposed to those days when I started and we were taking vans that had no business being on the road, and drivers had no business driving them. So somehow we made it through, but we're in a much different situation now. So, but as part of the transition that we made on campus, physically, it has certainly affected our athletics as well. This is a picture of Jake Field around the time I took over as head baseball coach. I was just looking at this picture. If you look at that bench, you can see there's a nice new board on it. That was a big day. This is Jake Field on the last game of my career. So just a little bit of a visual as to where we've come. This is another picture that was taken in the outfield, but this isn't about baseball. If you look at the arrow on the right, that's a close-up of it. That thing in the background was our softball field. That's our softball complex today. This is where George Shore, who was with us, used to tend goal as a goalie for the Spartans. That's where we play soccer today. This is a funny one. This is a home volleyball match, and it's what we used to call the old Jimmy B. The arrow is pointing to Scott Geis, who is our sports information director, and that's where Scott used to sit to do our games, which was the doorway to our coach's office. Scott is up above there looking down on us today. This is a picture of Andy O'Brien, who will be our newest member of our Hall of Fame in a couple months. and he's the all-time leading scorer in New York college basketball history. This picture is 10 years old, I know, because he just became eligible. This is where we play basketball today. And finally, here's a picture of our new natatorium. So very clearly, we've made some growth along the way. It's been incredible. Our athletes as a whole are something we're very proud of. We won 3 conference championships this fall. We had an All-American for the 2nd year in a row from our cross-country team. Both our men's and women's soccer team advanced in the NCAA tournament, with the men going on to the Sweet 16. Our women's basketball team right now is undefeated and currently ranked 15th in the country. And we are certainly expecting a big spring as well. Our men's programs have won 3 straight Commissioner Cups award within the CAC for being the strongest point getter in the conference on the male side. One of the things that we're working real hard at right now is equity and trying to get our women's programs up to the same level as all of our men's. A big part of that is coaching. And as pretty as the facilities may be, they don't solve everything. And one of the most important aspects, the most important aspect in becoming really good and being very competitive is recruiting. It doesn't matter what your field looks like or any of that, or what kind of transportation you have, if you don't have the right people out there competing for you. So at the Division III level, recruiting is very intense. And we have grown quite a bit. When I got to York College, I believe we had 202 athletes playing for 17 teams. And we had 7 of those teams were coached by full-time coaches. Presently, we have 479 student athletes on 22 teams. 17 of those teams are coached by full-time coaches. And so one of my initiatives as director is to keep growing that coaching staff, and to not only with head coaches, but also with our assistant coaches, because that is where so much of the recruiting occurs. And so that's another big aspect of what's happening with your college athletics. As I mentioned before, the equity on the women's side, that is not just a personnel thing either. There's a lot of money to talk about as well. And the Title IX is something that we have the utmost respect for, and something that we're working really hard at. And we're in a unique situation where we have more women at the college than we do men as students, and therefore our athletic department is supposed to reflect the same thing. It doesn't right now, not yet, but we're working on it, and it's something that we've taken an awful lot of pride in, and it's been awesome this year to see some of our women's teams really step up. We have some initiatives, for the future as well. Facility-wise, when we built the fields at the Grumbacher Sport and Fitness Center, all the infrastructure for lights was installed at that time. It's something that we're very anxious about trying to address. It affects not only our recreational offerings, because we can go later into the evening, but also our practices. Right now we have several teams using sharing fields in order to be able to practice in the evenings is critical, especially since some of our majors have offerings during the afternoon, and it can be difficult for us to get whole teams together during what we would consider traditional practice times. In addition to that, one of my pets right now that I'm really pushing hard for is a new tennis complex. It's the one sport, tennis is, where our facility is below average. And it's something I desperately want to fix. To me, it's an equity issue, and I want those student athletes to have the same experience that our basketball team does, or our baseball team. So that's what I'm working on. I'm pushing pretty hard. The other thing is to get artificial turf our baseball and our softball field. We're in a climate in an area where being able to play and practice every day is critical. And so those are things that we're going to keep working on. One of the things I tell my staff all the time is that I have no interest in what we have or where we're at. I want to continually get better and better and better. And so we keep working at it. We've had a couple of other initiatives this year. A big one for me has been what we've referenced in kind of in simple terms as school spirit. And I feel as though we've been deficient at York College. We actually did a survey last year that was filled out by a lot of our students and a lot of our employees as well. And it showed that there was a lack of what we would consider school spirit. And so we've been working toward building that. And part of it for me, as I stand here, is our local community too. If I asked you, who's your college team, I'm guessing I get a lot of Penn States, some Notre Dames. You guys probably are sitting together. I sounds like we have a Tar Heel in here. But I'm not sure how many of you would say the Spartans. And that's something that's really important to me. I really want York to look at York College as theirs and to look at us as your home team. And so we're looking to reach out into the community a little more. One of the things that we did this year was we introduced our new mascot. His name is Screamer. It began what our president has coined Screamer Gate because we had a lot of alums that didn't quite get what we were doing. But it has turned out to be a very positive thing and something we did as an initiative to get out into the community. We wanted something that would be a representative of us that could go to the high schools and be with the kids, and he was in the parade and everything else. Something to join us closer with everybody else. And as this came about, we took a lot of time. And the person who's actually the original Philly Fanatic has a company who, this is what they do. They develop mascots. And his name's Dave Raymond. He worked with us for 2 years as we developed this. And we got away from it. We'll always be the Spartans. That's our nickname. But the representation for us as a mascot wasn't, we decided we would be a Spartan because it's difficult to make a Spartan something that's engaging. And certainly not the Spartans I want. I want my Spartans to be fierce and mean and bloodthirsty. We needed something that was going to be able to go out and make people laugh. And it's been awesome. So that's part of what we've been doing. This is the initiative I talked about earlier. We had, believe it or not, never had an official booster club at York College. And this became my brainchild a couple years ago. And we started working on it. I was very, very fortunate to have 3 very passionate alums who are in attendance today, George Short, Patty Sturck, and Jimmy May, agreed to serve as our advisory committee for the Spartan Advance in an effort to help raise funds for the program. We have grown kind of beyond our means, and in order to be competitive, we need more support. Right now, a lot of our teams have been doing fundraising on their own, and the idea is to get away from that, for us to do this fundraising more globally, and to be able to support our teams through an overall effort rather than going out and doing car washes or whatever else. So this has been a biggie for us, and it's something we're getting ready to head out and start a corporate appeal soon. But we've got an excellent response so far, and it's something that we're hoping to grow. But it has been a necessary part of the growth of York College athletics. As we, one of the other things that I think people don't understand is the desire to win at our level. If a kid goes to North Carolina to play basketball, especially the way things are now, that kid isn't hoping that that's going to be the end of the road. He's going to get drafted, he's going to play in the NBA. Our kids, this is the biggest stage of their life. And so winning for them is something that's critical. It doesn't go on beyond this. And if anybody thinks at the Division III level, it's just about participating, those days are gone. They keep track of who wins. There's a Director's Cup. And it's something for me, part of my makeup. If I do something, I want to do it right. And I guess winning isn't everything, but I'm sure you like it a lot. So we're working hard at it. Anyway, that's my presentation. I'd be glad to take questions from anybody.